Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we're talking the Buffalo Sabres and their season preview, where this team just barely missed the playoffs last year by one single freaking point. The 1 point that they needed to end their, 11, 12-year playoff drought, the longest in any, professional franchise in the world. This team is so close, and they are so close and even closer, I think, getting into it this year. As last year, they showed that this team is a team not to be messed with when it comes to offense, as they finish in third in goals for this year, beating out so many teams, only behind, I think, the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, I think, but definitely the Edmonton Oilers, and they're third in the league. They beat the Carolina Hurricanes, they beat the Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto Maple Leafs. They beat all of those teams. So offensively, this team is astounding, and it's not surprising when you look at this team, because it's all led by Arizona Giant Tage Thompson. The Giant Tage Thompson, 6'6", 25 years old, 94 points last year. Last year, my season preview, probably last year, today, a year ago, I said from 68 points last year, the guy was on a rampage. Look out for this guy. He's going to take the league by storm next year. And guess what? He freaking did. 47 goals and 94 points. He doesn't break 50 goals yet, but I think this is the year he's going to do it, because he's just grown into his own. He's got the hands of Patrick Kane. He's got the size of a giant, the shot of Alexander Ovechkin. He's got all the tools to be the guy in the league. The guy in the league in Tage Thompson. He just came out of nowhere, right? But it's not surprising, because a guy like him, he kind of had to find his way, you know? Guys like McDavid with his size and speed, it's naturally there. Bigger guys like Thompson, they got to find their game. They got to refine those skills, and he's done just that, and he's so good. And he's paired up with Jeff Skinner, who's come back to his own, and who knew that Jeff Skinner wasn't actually a sucky player after his amazing year with between Carolina and Buffalo, and then he sucked. It's because Buffalo sucked, but here he is showing that he's not a bad player. 35 goals, 82 points last year. This is where he is. This is the Jeff Skinner that truly exists. He's not the sucky player that everyone can make fun of for having a huge contract, one of the worst deals in the league. No, he does deserve that money. And with 35 goals, as well as Alex Tuch, 36 goals. This line has better goal production than the top team in the league last year with the Boston Bruins. On that first line, 36, 47, 35. Goal scoring is not an issue for this team, especially the top line. And a normal consistency that I like about the Buffalo Sabres is that the size. With Tage Thompson, 6'6", Alex Tuch, 6'4". Their big guys score goals. Go down to Dylan Cousins. He's 6'3". And let's go to the second line too as well here. So Dylan Cousins, his breakout season, 68 points last year, 31 goals. He scores as well. 22 years old. He's only going to go up and up and up and be a star. Because once again, Dylan Cousins, just when you watch him on the ice, he is in control of the scene. He just looks like he's in charge on the ice. And he's only 22 years old, as well as Casey Middlestat, who's 24 years old, a guy who's also coming into his own. 54 points last year. These guys can produce. 24, this guy's going to go up as well, especially those two working together. Middlestat might be more like a 50-point, maybe jumping into 60-point guy regularly. I think that's kind of what his career will be. But being paired up with Dylan Cousins, who got 68 points last year and who's only going to go up as well, I think that'll definitely help out Casey Middlestat to get those assists, because he's an assist man. So Cousins going from 31 goals, maybe he's a 40-goal scorer next year. Middlestat's numbers is only going to go up into the 60s. And then a guy like Olofsson, who's 28 goals. It's crazy to see how many 20-plus goal scorers they have on this team. Because when I was looking at the Bruins yesterday, they are the top team in the league, and sure, they have to shed a lot of guys, but it's they didn't have a ton of 20 goal scorers on the team. This team just has them stacked. Olofsson, 28 goals, 40 points, just a solid sniper guy on this team that can score big goals when they need him to. So Olofsson, I like him as well. But then we start getting to the question marks of this team. So we get to guys like Jordan Greenway, another 6'6 guy, but he is probably more of a placeholder right now in the lineup due to injuries and potential guys who could break the lineup. So Jordan Greenway for me right now is more of a he's a body to fill a spot for right now. But I mean, 6'6", he's gonna be a wrecking ball on the ice. He is a presence. When you see Jordan Greenway on the ice when it was with Minnesota, like, you knew he was on the ice. He was making his presence known, and that's what a team like Buffalo kind of needs, and not needs, but has, and that's kind of their forte, I guess, with Thompson, Tuck, Cousins, the size that they bring to this team. With Greenway on the ice, he's not going to be scoring any points. 6 goals, 11 points last year. He's not going out there to produce. He's going out there to make his presence known, and it's genius. Peyton Krebs, 22 years old. He's a guy, a young prospect, if you can call him that, who I don't see being a huge player. 9 goals, 26 points last year. He got 20-something points the year before that as well. I don't know. This guy, I think, is either going to be kind of this range where he's in the 20, maybe 30 points, and he's a general third to fourth line guy. Maybe he breaks out this year. Who knows? Maybe something goes completely right for him and he gets to, 40, 50 points this year. I don't think so, but maybe. Who knows? You never know. So for Peyton Krebs, it's an interesting one. It's not a bad to have on your team, but it's interesting. J.J. Peterka. This guy, another rookie last year. He was top in the league for rookies. 32 points, 12 goals. Him and Jack Quinn, great. And Jack Quinn, unfortunately, injured, so he won't be able to start the year. He will be into it eventually, but for right now, he's definitely going to be out for the beginning of the season. So a guy like Peterka, 32 points last year, maybe he's another guy that breaks out. Maybe from 32 and 12 goals, maybe he gets to 22 goals, and he gets a little bit more assists, and he gets to 45 points, right? 45 points. I mean, is that a stretch? By no means is that a stretch. It's just natural progression. So Peterka, 21 years old as well. He's only going to go up as well this upcoming seasons. Then we get to the fourth line where things like Jurgensen's, however you want to say it, 10 goals, 18 assists, just another guy that's just filling in a hole in the lineup. Tyson Jost, 7 goals, 25 points. He's producing a little bit, but Jost, I will say, Tyson Jost on the fourth line, that's a pretty good sign that your team's doing something right offensively. So, Tyson Jost on the fourth line, another guy who's just filling in that fourth line role, nothing special. He's not going to break out. He's not going to do anything amazing. He's just going to do his job, and he does it well. And then Kyle Okposo, the captain of the team, 12 goals, 28 points last year. I mean, he's the captain. He's the captain of the team. He plays good. He works hard, but I think it's kind of weird that he's the captain of the team, and I don't know. I just feel like a fourth line spot to him, I guess, is okay. Fourth line Okposo is fine. So, offensively, not surprising that this team is amazing. Last year, the issue was what? Being scored on. The quite opposite of what they were great at, because they were sucked last year when it comes to being scored on. They were 7th in goals against. 7th. They were up there with the Coyotes, like the Flyers, they were higher than the Ducks, but that's where they're at. They're in the bottom of the league when it comes to being scored on. It's not surprising because last year they have Craig Anderson in net, right? And defensively, these young guys, Dahlin is a great defenseman, but he's not a true defensive defenseman. And he's not gonna be your lifesaver when it comes to defense. And that is kind of where they're gonna need some of these additions that they add to the team to start working out. Not just additions, but anyways, let's just talk about defense here. So Rasmus Dahlin, a tremendous player, showing why he was the first overall pick a few years ago. 73 points, 15 goals. This guy is an absolute stud. I'm surprised he wasn't one of the Norris Trophy finalist, I will say, or was he? No, it was, doesn't matter. It was Fox, Carlson, and Makar. So, for him, I feel like he got snubbed because he was doing so good. He was neck and neck with Carlson for almost the entire year up and towards, the halfway through the season, whatever. He was doing so good, 73 points. This guy, huge. 5th in defense when it comes to points production. Dahlin, great player. Samuelson, a guy that they could really use to be a little bit more defensive. Now, he is young, and he is still growing. I think it's kind of crazy that they threw the big contract at him. A weird decision there. But overall, Samuelsson, he's a good defenseman. And if he could be a little bit more of that rock-steady defensive guy back there, I think would be huge. I mean, obviously, because they really need that. If Dahlin can get all the points and Samuelsson is the guy that sits at home and plays the defense, stay in front of the net and just block shots, poke check the puck away, then I think great. Great. We just got to see it happen. We need to see that happen for a team that needs good defense and stop the puck from going in. Owen Power, another guy who's showing why he was a first overall pick. I think he was first overall. With being 8th in rookies when it comes to points, 35 points last year. He was 20 years old, 34 points, 5 points, sorry. Great. And I don't think people realize this guy's also got size on his size as well. 6'6" is Owen Power. Wow. I mean, this team, it's just crazy how big this team is. And Owen Power, another guy who's got the size and produces points. And he's a rookie last year. He's only 20 years old. This team is just stacked. I mean, stacked to the moon with talent. Yoki Harju, at 30 goals, 13 assists, points. He's another guy that they need to be a little bit more defensive, be a little bit more shut down the puck. I thought Yoki Harju was supposed to be a puck-moving defenseman. I feel like that never really panned out with him. And with him, if they could make him a little bit more defensive, they need that. They just need that. It's a necessity. Erik Johnson, a guy who could be one of those solutions where they need a guy on the penalty kill. They need a guy to play defense. Erik Johnson could be that guy. 6'4", maybe he could be that. I mean, he's got the size, once again, on his side. And maybe they could just tumble guys around when guys like Greenway are out there. They can hit him up front, and then they get to Erik Johnson. He finishes the job. That's what they're going for. That's what they're banking on, is a guy like Johnson to be that defensive giant. Clifton, another guy who I could see being more of a defensive player, and I guess he's 5 goals, 23 points. He can produce, but they need him to be that defense as well. The defense needs to be there. It's just plain and simple. But the biggest issue was goaltending. Goaltending was their problem. And for me, my solution for them is still to go out and get a guy like Connor Hellebuck. I would say he needs to be their number one priority. But it looks like they're just going to roll with Devin Levi being their goaltender. And it's interesting. He was 5-2 last year, only 7 games played. But he finished with a 2.94 goals against average. I think he beat the New York Rangers. At least he had an amazing save against them. .905 save percentage. His numbers aren't bad, but once again, he only played 7 games. But he's really, really young, just out of college. If he can take the league by storm and be a Jake Ottinger, and he can get a record of, if he's the number one goaltender and he plays, let's say, 45 games, give or take, and he finishes with a record of 25-20. Is that good enough? I don't know. I don't know if that's good enough. To me, goaltenders always bloom when they're older, except exceptions like Vasilevsky and Jake Ottinger, and Devin Levi seems to have the resume to be that next guy who is good at a young age. But I just don't. Goaltenders are so finicky when it comes to them being young that I just can't put money on that. So for me, Devin Levi, it's a risk, and I much rather them go out and get a guy like John Gibson, guy like Hellebuck, and let them be the goaltender for 1 year, be the main guy, let Levi be the backup, get his 25 starts in there, and then give him the net next season. But maybe they're going to go with him. They're going to roll with him and see if they can break this drought. So overall, to me, I love this team. I loved them last year, and I'm really annoyed that they didn't make it in the playoffs because they were a pick. Them and the Panthers, to me, I did have beating the Boston Bruins. I really thought they would have, and who guessed it, the Florida Panthers did beat the Bruins, and I thought Buffalo could be that team where they're just so good offensively that they could have broken them down. And to me, I think Buffalo offensively, they're still good, and they're, I would say, even better because their guys are only going to be growing and getting better. So for me, offensively, they're great. Did they solve their defensive issues? I think they will be better defensively. Guys like Samuelsson being able to be more NHL prone. Devin Levi, I think will be, no matter what, a better goaltender than Craig Anderson last year. So to me, I'm going to say this team, do they make the playoffs? I really want them to. If they make the playoffs, do they go far? I mean, at that point, who knows what moves they've made, maybe they what trade deadline acquisitions they make. To me, I think this is a team that gets past the first round. I think if they get through the first round, they into the playoffs, the size that they have and just the pure electricity and excitement this team has will be unstoppable, that they will go through the first round, whoever they go up against. And then the second round is where things might get interesting, where they get bounced. I think this is a team that is built for the playoffs, and it's just about getting in there. And I don't think that should be an issue. So to me, is it a playoff team? Yes. I think they make the playoffs. I think they end the drought, and I want to see it happen, and I think it's going to happen. And that's all I got to say. So thank you for watching this. If you've made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription. And until next time, too sweet. Have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.